Hello and good morning to all of you. I hope all of you are doing well and all of you are in good health. In today's class, we will discuss about controller and its responsibilities. To begin with, let us discuss about appointment of controller. Section 17 of the Information Technology Act 2000 talks about the appointment of the controller, deputy controller, assistant controller, and other employees of certifying authority. The deputy controller and the assistant controller are under the control of the controller and perform the functions as specified by him. The term, qualifications, experience, and conditions of service of the controller of certifying authorities will be determined by the central government. It will also decide on the place of the head office of the controller. Now let us discuss the functions of the controller. According to Section 18 of Information Technology Act 2000, the following are the functions of the controller of certifying authority. To begin with, he supervises all the activities of certifying authorities. Public keys are certified by him. He lays down the rules and standards to be followed by certifying authorities. He specifies the qualifications and experience required to become an employee of certifying authority. He specifies the procedure to be followed in maintaining the accounts of authority. He determines the terms and conditions of the appointment of auditors. He supervises the conduct of businesses and dealings of the authorities. He facilitates the establishment of an electronic system jointly or solely. He maintains all the particulars of the certifying authorities and specifies the duties of the officers. He has to resolve any kind of conflict between the authorities and the subscribers. Now let us talk about license for electronic signatures. It is necessary to obtain a license certificate in order to issue an electronic signature. Section 21 of Information Technology Act 2000 states that any such license can be obtained by making an application to the controller, who, after considering all the documents, decides either to accept or to reject the application. The license issued is valid for the term as prescribed by the central government and is transferable and heritable. And it is regulated by the terms and conditions provided by the government. Now let us discuss the powers of the certifying authorities. Every such authority must make use of hardware system that is free from any kind of intrusion, as specified in Section 30 of Information Technology Act 2000. It must adhere to security procedures to ensure the privacy of electronic signatures. It must publish information related to its practices, electronic certificates, and the status of these certificates. It must be reliable in its work. The authority has the power to issue electronic certificates as per Section 35 of Information Technology Act 2000. The authority has to issue a digital signature certificate and certify that the subscriber owns a private key along with a public key as given in the certificate. The key can make a digital signature and can be verified, and all the information given by the subscriber is accurate and reliable. The authority can suspend the certificate of a digital signature for not more than 15 days. This is as per Section 37 of Information Technology Act 2000. According to Section 38 of Information Technology Act 2000, a certificate can be revoked by the authorities on the following grounds. If the subscriber himself makes such an application, if he dies, and in case the subscriber is a company, then on the winding up of the company, the certificate is revoked. Now let us discuss the various circumstances under which the intermediaries are and are not held liable. In the case of third-party information or communication, intermediaries will not be held liable. If the only function of the intermediary was to provide access to a communication system and nothing else, then also they are not held liable for any offense. If the intermediary does not initiate such transmissions or select the receiver or modify any information in any transmission, it cannot be made liable. And the intermediary does its work with care and due diligence. In this situation also, intermediary cannot be made liable. However, This section has the following exemptions where intermediaries cannot be exempted from the liability. First, it is involved in any unlawful act either by abetting, inducing, or by threats or promises. Second, it has not removed any such data or disabled access that is used for the commission of unlawful acts as notified by the central government. Now let us discuss various offences and their associated punishments under Information Technology Act 2000. Here we have a tabular representation that highlights offences, sections, and punishments. To begin with, tampering with the documents stored in a computer system. This falls under section 65, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment of 3 years or a fine of rupees 2 lakhs or both. Offences related to computers or any act mentioned in section 43. This falls under section 66, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment of 3 years or a fine that extends to rupees 5 lakhs or both. Receiving a stolen computer source or device dishonestly. This falls under section 66B, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment for 3 years or a fine of rupees 1 lakh or both. Identity theft. This falls under section 66C, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment of 3 years or a fine of rupees 1 lakh or both. Cheating by personation. This falls under section 66D. The punishment for the same is either imprisonment for 3 years or a fine of rupees 1 lakh or both. Violation of privacy. This falls under section 66E, and the punishment for the same is either imprisonment up to 3 years or a fine of rupees 2 lakhs or both. Cyber terrorism. This falls under section 66F, and the punishment for the same is life imprisonment. Transmitting obscene material in electronic form. This falls under section 67, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment of 5 years and a fine of rupees 10 lakhs. Transmission of any material containing sexually explicit acts through an electronic mode. This falls under section 67A, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment of 7 years and a fine of rupees 10 lakhs. Depicting child in sexually explicit form and transmitting such material through electronic mode. This falls under section 67B, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment of 7 years and a fine of rupees 10 lakhs. And finally, failure to preserve and retain the information by intermediaries. This falls under section 67C, and the punishment for the same is imprisonment for 3 years and a fine.